right, the time is 6 p.m. on Monday, May 3rd, 2021. At this time, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Ms. Garcia, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Walter,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cordes. Here. Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilmember Hughes,
Here.
Councilmember Neal,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we'll rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, we will go ahead to call to the public. Call to the public for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the town council. Council rules limit public comment to 3 minutes. Individual council members may respond to criticism made by those commenting, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless those matters are properly noticed for discussion or legal action. Is there anybody who would like to speak this evening? Is there anybody in the virtual world that would like to speak this evening?
We have one hand raised for Linda Turner.
Excellent. Ms. Turner?
Good evening, Council, Madam Vice Mayor, and Madam Mayor. I'm here tonight to ask a few questions about several items on tonight's agenda. It is hoped that some of these will be answered during the discussions. However, I would like answers if not. In regards to the vote for the lawsuit for Florence Copper, I ask that the council vote to end this litigation and settle with Florence Copper. I do have a question in regards to the payment because originally there were other parties involved in the lawsuit, and I'm wondering if any of them will be contributing to the large payment that is now going to have to be made by the town of Florence, such as the shares of cost fees and the $1.7 million. The other questions I have are, it looks like there's an audit being done for our budget or whatever, and we're choosing a CPA in Scottsdale. Then there was no one closer that could do this audit. In regards to the employee HSA, I want to make sure that I read that correctly, that the town will be contributing $600 a quarter for, or up to $1,050 a quarter if they're a family, which is a $2,400 or $4,200 contribution to their HSA. Does the employee have to pay their premiums? It's my understanding that the initial premium for the employee, they don't pay, the town pays it. Or is a contribution done to cover the premiums for the employee? I work for a Fortune 500 company. I get $600 a year. So that's a really good HSA if this gets pushed through. In regards to the employee classification schedules, why are some of the directors being bumped up 3 to 5 job codes? Was a survey done to determine that they were underpaid that much? It would appear that they would be receiving more than the employees are receiving, which is the 1.7 cost of living compensation, and possibly more than the 5,000 stipend that you're voting on tonight. Is this actually correct? And why is there a need for a special election in November of 2021? And that is the end of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. And I will have, if it's not answered in discussion, Mr. Bitter or our town manager, Mr. Billingsley, reach out and provide you those answers. Our next item this evening is item 6, which is our presentations. Item 6A at this time is for a proclamation celebrating May 15th, 2021 as the Randall Family Appreciation Day. Randall family and Mr. Beatty, would you like to meet me down at the podium? Would you like that?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, council members. It is my pleasure to introduce the Randall family, who are longtime residents of Florence, maybe not long time for some of us, but a number of years, who live just a little bit south of Florence and run a very, very well-respected towing company here in town. You may also know them well as the people that are responsible for the car show and for the success that we've had in the car show, bringing thousands and thousands of people to Florence. So I've worked with one or all of them for a number of years and consider them all very good friends. At some point last year, I heard a little story. Two of the members of the family were being honored in New Jersey or New York for a national conference of tow truck drivers, and heard the story and thought that it should get a little bit more press here in Florence. I think the article that I sent played it down a little bit, but we actually have some true heroes here in Florence, and they did what we all hope we could, but they actually did it. So I think the proclamation tells a little bit about what they did, so I'll leave that for the proclamation. But I'm very, very proud to bring them forward and show them all to everybody that's online and everybody here that some Florence people doing very, very well. So I think that's good for right now. Thank you.
This is a proclamation for Randall Family Appreciation Day. Whereas in April of 2019, Shad, Stephanie, and Charlie Randall were traveling home from another town heading towards Florence on United States Route 60, and approximately 2 miles before Florence turnoff saw a huge burst of dirt in the median and caught a glimpse of a small car traveling westbound in the median. And whereas Shad Roth immediately slowed down, he turned his beacon on and began controlling traffic by swerving from lane to lane to prevent the traffic from colliding with the driver who may cross the median and come their way. And whereas the vehicle came to rest in the gorge and Shad immediately stopped to render assistance, leaving Stephanie to call 911, direct traffic, and stay with their child. And whereas Shad rendered assistance to the unconscious driver who is having grand mal seizures and choking, and remained with her until paramedics and fire arrived. And whereas all emergency vehicles were on scene within 15 minutes, and they were able to assist the driver. And whereas the following week, they met the driver, who disclosed that she continued to have unexplainable seizures and was going through testing to determine why, and was grateful for the assistance that they had rendered that saved her life. And whereas the American Towman awarded the Randall family the Courage Under Fire Award for their bravery at the American Towman Convention in Atlantic City after the driver and her mother contacted them to tell her their story. So now therefore be it resolved that I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the Town of Florence, acknowledge and congratulate the Randall family and express gratitude for their courage to render assistance and be an example for others to follow, and proclaim the 15th day of May, 2021 as Randall Family Appreciation Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. We didn't know where to go. It was a really trying day. I'd just like to say thank you for recognizing us and it was a trying day. All that aside, we appreciate this a lot. We enjoy Florence a lot and give a lot to the town, and happy to be here. Happy to service. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Item 6B is a proclamation for May 2021 as Building Safety Month. At this time, I'll call forward Mr. Keith Eaton.
Well, good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and Council. It's kind of hard to follow that, but very awesome story. First of all, thank you so much for considering this tonight. Tonight, you joined thousands of cities and towns around the country proclaiming this as Building Safety Month. The work we do down on 20th Street, it could not be done without a massive staff, the best staff that I could ever wish for. They're not all here. I have 1/6 of my staff here, and you'll meet Maricela here shortly. Anyway, I do want to make comment about them, or at least introduce who they are. My building official is Jimmy Allen, that does a fantastic job. Him and I see eye to eye. I say 90% of the time he beats me into submission. The other 10 is what I always say about him. Our senior planner, Larry Harmer, Maricela Benitez is our planner. Code enforcement officer is Curtis Williams. My permit tech is Gloria Bean, and then administrative assistant Susan Cisco. So thank you so much.
All right, so we have a proclamation. We have a long proclamation. This is where we take turns. Okay, so this proclamation is for Building Safety Month. Whereas our town is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of disaster. And
whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And
whereas these guardians are dedicated to members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are expert in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect in the buildings where we live, learn, work, play, and
whereas, I wish I'd have known I was going to be reading this, I would have made it a lot shorter. So, whereas our nation benefits economically and technologically from using the international codes that are developed by a national voluntarily consistence of codes and standards developing organization, our government is able to avoid the high cost and complexity of developing and maintaining these codes, which are the most widely adopted building safety and fire prevention codes in the world.
whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And
whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public that the critical role of our community as largely unknown protectors of public safety are local code officials, who assure us of a safe, sustainable, energy efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. And
Whereas prevent, prepare, protect, building codes save. The theme for Building Safety Month 2021 encourages all Americans to raise awareness about the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, energy conservation, water safety, training the next generation, and new technologies in the construction industry.
the end. Mayor, I'll go ahead and finish it out. Oh, no, you have to do this. So whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided by us, by all of us, by local, state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property.
Now therefore, I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the Town of Florence, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join with their communities in participation of Building Safety Month activities.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Our next item on the agenda, item C, is declaring May 2nd to May 8th Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas, now I'm going to call up Miss Elisa Garcia. So our municipal clerk here is Miss Elisa Garcia. Let's give her a round of applause. Miss Garcia helps us work very efficiently and effectively. She keeps us and our town very organized, and we very much appreciate her and everything that she does. I want to give you a few moments to speak, and then you have a video for us, correct? Okay. Okay.
I just want to say I've been here with the city for 26 years and it's been lovely. I've enjoyed serving as your municipal clerk. The town of Florence has the greatest clerks team. Maria Hernandez, Patricia Buchanan, and even Jennifer Evans, who steps in and helps me when I'm out of the office. We can't do anything without the entire team. But when you reach out even further, it's every department head and those who serve the town of Florence that are always there to assist. They always make sure that the clerks get their projects done and their packets out. And without a team, we would not be able to do the things we do. So we appreciate each and every one of them. And we love the citizens we serve. We love the council we serve. So we're just thrilled to be part of the clerks team. There is a video as the municipal clerks team, as well as department heads and members of the council, the mayor, the vice mayor, Councilmember Anderson, Councilmember Neal. We all did a IIMC clerk appreciation video. It's been on the IIMC website and it's got right now over 615 views. Mr. Bitter did tell me today that the League of Arizona Cities and Towns did share out our video on social media today or yesterday. So we're really excited about that. So we appreciate all the support that we get each and every day. And it always feels like it's clerk day in the town of Florence, not clerk week. So, and every day is clerk day. So we're happy to serve.
So now therefore I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the Town of Florence, Arizona, do recognize the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Lisa Garcia, and to all professional municipal clerks for the vital services that they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that they represent. So thank you. Thank you. All right, at this time, we need a motion to adjourn to Community Facilities District number 1. Oh, no, I apologize, Becky. Huh? Ms. Jimenez, we have a presentation on the third quarter financials for fiscal year 2020, 2021.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council. This is our third quarter revenue and expense report to you for fiscal year 2021. And we're entering the home stretch right now, which I'm very happy about. So with that, we're presenting a comparison. I did change my format a bit because I was using an old PowerPoint presentation, and I really thought the way I'm going to format it is more informative than what was before. So this is a comparison from March 31st of 2020 to March 31st of 2021. And all forecasts are estimated to June 30th, 2021. And as you can see, these taxes and revenues make up 84% of the town's general fund revenue. Sales tax, you can see compared to last year, we're up. And you may want to know why the third quarter is more than the forecast. All of our sales tax revenue gets dumped into a single account, and then it's dispersed into various accounts for construction tax, residential construction tax, and governmental construction tax. And at this time, that portion of it has not been moved. Our food tax compared to last year is up. Our property tax is slightly down, but we have not received our taxes for May yet, so that I'm sure will go up. Building permits are slightly down, but I have every confidence that we're going to hit our mark and more, because Keith and I went through a little exercise on doing some projections, and we're trying to be conservative on this. Our state sales tax is up. State income tax is up. Auto license revenues are up. Our general fund expenditures, of course, are down this year because of our CARES Act funding that funded the police and fire expense for about $2 million, plus the containment of expenditures because of COVID. General capital fund revenues, we're going to forecast that they're going to come in a little bit higher this year because of construction. And the expenditures are going to come in lower even than the budget that we had. Our HERF revenues are going to be a little bit more because of an operating transfer that was done to reimburse that fund. And then our expenditures are going to be down. We're not going to spend everything that we projected. Water revenues are up. Water fund expenditures are down. Wastewater fund revenues are slightly down, and wastewater fund expenditures are down. Sanitation fund revenue is up, and sanitation fund expenses are slightly down. This is our cash balances at this time in general checking, and you can see the interest rates are just killing us right now in our investment incomes. We have credit card in transit. Our LGIP, which is the local governmental investment pool, has a slight balance in it in our PFN investments, with our police evidence fund for a total cash of $81,925,802. And that is the end of my presentation. You have any questions at all?
Council, do you have any questions? No, but we are grateful and appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Item number 7, we need a motion to adjourn to Community Facilities District number 1.
Make a motion to adjourn to Community Facilities District number 1.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item A is discussion and possible action on entering into an engagement letter between the town of Florence and Fester and Chapman, certified public accountants, to perform the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit in an amount not to exceed $8,500 for Community Facilities District number 1. Ms. Jimenez.
Yes. Board, this is for our annual audit. This is the 4th year that Fester and Chapman has done an audit with the town of Florence. They had an initial contract of 1 year with 3-year extensions after that. They've done a great job doing our audits. And we would like to engage them this year again. Their estimated cost is about $8,500 for CFD number 1 and CFD number 2, but we're just addressing CFD number 1 right now.
Council, do you have any questions? Okay. Seeing no such, we need a motion.
Make a motion to enter into an engagement letter between the town of Florence and Fester and Chapman, certified public accountants, to perform the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit in an amount not to exceed $8,500 for Community Facilities District number 1.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B is discussion and possible action to approve Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District number 1, April 5th, 2021 special meeting minutes. Ms. Lisa Garcia.
Mayor and members of council, the minutes are in your packet, and each time we have a board meeting, we take up the prior minutes to make sure that we get them approved by council. So you have your minutes.
Member of council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District number 1, April 5th, 2021 special meeting minutes.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same side. Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn from Community Facilities District number 1.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn to Community Facilities District number 2.
Make a motion to adjourn to Community Facilities District number 2.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item A is discussion and possible action on entering into an engagement letter between the town of Florence and Fester and Chapman, certified public accountants, to perform the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit in an amount not to exceed $8,500 for Community Facilities District number 2. Ms. Rebecca Jimenez.
District Board, this is the same as CFD number 1 to do the audit. They're estimating a cost of about $8,500 to perform the audit for District number 2.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I just want to make sure that we answer Mrs. Turner's question. Was this the one she had the question on about the accountant?
Mr. Bitter or Mr. Billingsley, either?
Actually, Becky's the appropriate one to speak to the bidding process and selection.
This auditor was on board when I came back to the town of Florence, and basically what they do is they send out either an RFP or an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications, and then they choose the auditor. So the auditors normally they could come from anywhere. They're governmental auditors. So it's just not like going out and getting a CPA somewhere. They have specific skills and knowledges and databases that they put all of this enormous amount of information into. So they just were the ones that were chosen at the time that the RFP or RFQ went out.
it answered it for me. So I already kind of knew the answer that it's not something that just any firm can do, that it's specialized, that they specialize in CFDs, which are very confusing and difficult and time consuming. And so in our opinion, we have one of the best in the state working for us. So that's why we're choosing them.
Yes, we have a very good auditor, but more than that, they have to understand governmental accounting. And you can see that as it carries forward into our regular audit. Also, they do an enormous amount of work online, and they also do a lot of testing of our processes, a lot of interviewing of the staff, but they, more than anything, they're very knowledgeable about what they're doing.
All right, well, thank you very much. So with that, we need a motion.
I make a motion, we enter into an engagement letter between the Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2 and Fester and Chapman Certified Public Accountants to perform the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit in the amount not to exceed $8,500 for the Community Facility District Number 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second item is discussion and possible action to approve Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, April 5th, 2021. Ms. Garcia.
Mayor and members of council, your minutes are in the packet.
If there's no questions or comments, we need a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, April 5th, 2021 special meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn from Community Facilities District Number 2.
Make a motion that we adjourn from Community Facilities District Number 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. Motion carries. Item 11 is our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a council member or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Item A is authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement for provision of services by the Pinal County Elections and Recorder Department. B, authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Eloy for magistrate services through June 30th, 2025, with a possible 2-year renewal term through June 30th, 2027. Item C, authorization to enter into an engagement letter between the Town of Florence and Fester and Chapman Certified Public Accountants for the fiscal year 2020-2021 audit in an amount not to exceed $37,250. Item D, approval of fiscal year 21-22 employee benefit program with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Arizona for medical, dental, life, and Avisus Vision Insurance, Teladoc for 24/7 physician access benefits, Jorgensen Brooks Group for an employee assistance program, Aflac for supplemental group insurance products, and Infinisource to administer our Section 125 flexible benefit account plan. Item E, authorization to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the Town of Florence and the Florence Unified School District Number 1 for an amount not to exceed $5,000 for the Florence High School graduation lock-in. Item F, accept Andrew Drew Simmons' resignation from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective May 21st, 2021. Item G, resolution number 1777-21, discussion, approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the Town of Florence fiscal year 2021-2022 employee compensation and classification plans. Item H, resolution number 1778-21, discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the service agreement between the Employee Staffing Services Incorporated, ESI, and the Town of Florence, effective July 1st, 2021. Adoption, item I, adoption of the Major General Plan Amendment Calendar for 2021. Item J, adoption of the addendum to the Professional Services Agreement for Operational Services of the Florence Visitor Center and McFarland State Historic Park with the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce. Item K, authorization to enter into a contract with Tierra Right Away using the City of Tucson's contract number 171563 for the acquisition of the right-of-way parcels for the CIP T91 Hunt Highway Attaway Project in an amount not to exceed $50,000. And item L, approval of accepting the Register of Demands ending March 30th, 2021 in an amount of $1,725,102.27. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the consent agenda. Is there anybody who would like any item removed?
I just wanted to make a clarifying point, Lisa. The agenda item that was amended that was given to us at our desk said 11I in the top right corner. I believe that was supposed to be 11H. Is that correct?
Thank you for that clarification.
Item should have been 11H and it should have been changed. So the wording would be a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting a service agreement between Educational Services, Inc. and the Town of Florence effective July 1st, 2021.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was reading from the computer and not from the updated. It just provided additional clarification for anybody in the audience. Whereas ESI stands for the Educational Services Incorporated. In 2020, ESI acquired SmartWorks Plus, and the Town of Florence then entered into a service agreement with them at that time to allow the possibility of eligible town employees covered under the Arizona State Retirement System to retire and, still be able to continue contributing back to the municipality that they served.
Mayor, I'd like item 11E removed, please.
I couldn't hear your letter. I'm sorry.
11E.
11E. Okay. Is there anybody else? Seeing no such moved, we need a motion approving the consent agenda, removing item E.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, removing item E.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries. Vice Mayor?
So Ms. Garcia, if you would correct me if I am wrong, but during the budget committee meetings, we had opted out of not providing the $5,000 to the high school because we don't offer it to any of the other schools in our district or our town, because our district covers more than Florence, but we don't offer it to Florence K-8 doesn't come to us and get a $5,000 donation. Anthem K-8 doesn't get a $5,000 donation to help with any of their graduation or celebration facility things that they do. So if I remember, the budget committee had said no, that we would not provide that this year.
Each year they submit a letter with an IGA. We present that to council. This year's letter was submitted late and we just got it in right when we were doing the packet. So we went ahead and we brought it forward. to council. Throughout the year, we do contribute to schools, either we assist, we help, do things. But last year, during the discussions, I recall that we did not use, it's in the report, we did not use the money for the lock-in, and no lock-in was held during the COVID process. We did put the money that was geared towards the lock-in in the budget into 2 scholarship program for youth activities in sports. And we did do that last year. I did not bring any stats towards the scholarship program that the council did give last year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. With that, we need a motion on item E.
I make a motion that we do not approve item E.
Second.
Before we vote, can I have Ms. Garcia give the background to item E to council and to audience?
So in 2017, administrators from the high school contacted the town of Florence to help fund their annual lock-in. It used to be funded through mainly the sheriff's department. The sheriff then issued out a challenge to, or the sheriff issued out a challenge, and together we were able to come up with the funding to be able to do the lock-in. The lock-in was funded through council contingencies 2017, 18, and 19. 2020, there was no traditional graduation ceremonies, and monies were reallocated to youth scholarships and business relief. That's when we forgave the business licenses for that year. So each business that got back like $30 for their business license. A short description of the program. Graduation lock-in is going to be held at Fat Cats this year in Queen Creek on Thursday, May 27th from 11 p.m. to 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Across the country, thousands of students are killed or injured on their graduation night due to alcohol and drug-related incidents. Our goal at Florence High School is to eliminate the risk for their students and our graduating class of over 200. Our goal is to have students volunteers to school to provide transportation and participate. The outcome is students present will have a safe environment free from the risk of drugs, alcohol, traffic-related injuries, and fatalities. We have exceeded 75% of our graduating class during this event, and we have not had drugs or alcohol incidents since starting this program. Additional information, funding will be utilized to safely transport the students from Fat Cats in Queen Creek, Arizona. The funding will also allow graduates to access the Fat Cat facility, including Go Low Golf, unlimited video games, movie theater, virtual reality, pizza salad, and all staff and volunteers assisting at the event will have background approval. So a no vote would mean that council did not proceed in entering into the IGA nor funding the $5,000 out of council contingency. A yes vote would mean the council would enter into the IGA and fund $5,000 out of contingency. When we were approached, we were reminded that this year has been, due to the pandemic, has been a different year for the students. Most of them have been home throughout the year doing events online and not having any normalcy. And there is a high fear from law enforcement and school officials that the kids will really get out and do something big on graduation night. So I guess this is an attempt to try to make sure that the kids are all safe. Every Florence child is safe. And we only have one high school, and right now we have one high school located within the city limits, and that's everything that's included in the packet.
So just a procedural question, because now I'm a little confused. There was a motion on the floor and it was seconded, and we went into further explanation and discussion. So my understanding is that once there's a motion on the floor and seconded, that we go to a vote that explanation and discussion are no longer to be held.
Once you have a motion on the floor with a second, Cliff is your town attorney is your parliamentarian, but once you have a motion on the floor and your second, the mayor can call for further conversation. But at the time that you have a call for the question, all discussion has to stop at that point, and the motion has to be voted on. And that would be a call to the question.
Call for the question is a secondary motion, and anyone can do that without a second. So if council members in the future want to not have additional discussion, you can immediately call for the question, and that requires a vote.
The discussion would have been better suited, in my opinion, and would have had more value had it been before we called for a vote, because it contained information that maybe before a motion to not approve it, if it would have been before that, then that motion may not have come.
I apologize. I should have done a better job presenting the item. It's my fault.
I'm just trying to clarify for myself
Yeah.
so that I know next time. Thank you.
Would you like to change your motion since you've heard the explanation? Because you can do that procedurally.
No, I'll leave my motion the way it was because it didn't appear that anyone else on council was going to make a motion because everybody sat in silence. So whether they were for it or against it, nobody was going to make a motion. So I made a motion. So I'll leave it as it is.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to not approve assisting our local high school with their graduation night lock-in. If you are in favor of not approving it, vote aye.
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 Aye. If you are opposed to not approving it, vote nay. Nay.
Nay.
Nay.
Nay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda item as written to enter into a MOU between the town of Florence and Florence High School in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. I apologize. It's very infrequent that we have motions that are flip-flopped such as that. Item 12, unfinished business. 12A, council to provide direction to the Moses Incorporated for the development of branding a new town logo option. At this time, I'll call forward Mr. Benjamin Bitter.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As you're well aware, we've been down a process over the last few months to begin looking at a way to rebrand the organization and how we look outward to the community. And so as we've done this, we've contracted with Moses Inc. and we have Louis Moses here tonight. And Louis, why don't we have you stand at the podium if you don't mind? And then so Louis is here to help guide some of the discussion tonight that we look forward to having. And really the process that we look forward to doing is having a discussion on the floor tonight. Obviously, over the last few months, I've had a chance to meet with each of you individually to understand kind of the basis for where you want to go, where each of you want to go. But we want to have a discussion tonight on the floor to see where the council as a whole wants to go. And so that's the discussion we want to move forward. And then from there, we hope to come back in about a month with some logo options, some branding options, not just a logo, but really a whole package in terms of how the town is represented, and provide those to council at that time. So why don't I introduce Mr. Moses and he can kind of take off with some questions.
Thanks, Ben. Council, Mayor. A few months ago, we came to you with some ideas that we had put together, first phase, and it prompted some serious discussion. Most of you were involved with it. And I've been doing this a long time, and when everyone who needs to approve something is struggling for what they think it should be or shouldn't be, it's best to go right out to the audience, like Ben did, go to each of the council and find out what's your feeling on a brand refresh. And a brand refresh is what we were originally hired for, which is not just a logo. It's how the color scheme, the typefaces, the shapes, everything of the brand speak to what Florence is. I just found out that this current mark that you have was done in 1990. Those of you that are as old as me, you think 1990 doesn't sound that long ago. My boys were born in 94 and 98. So 1990 doesn't seem that long ago. But what has happened since 1990 to now is digital and the internet have basically become number one on our graphic list. When we design a campaign for a city or for a hotel chain or for an airline, we always think about how it gets displayed and shared digitally. So our first approach to refresh the branding was to look at some designs. Well, since then, we've taken a step back, regrouped, and said, let's make a recommendation to the council, and that's why I'm here tonight, to move forward since the brand audit has been done. And I'm assuming, Ben, that they've all seen the brand audit. Knowing that there's maybe 15 to 20 different designs out there, we're recommending that we go back, we take a look at how to simplify the mark, and along with that, make a Florence seal. And the seal that I'm suggesting can be used on the sides of police cars, can be used for inter-office communication, can be used for all of the things that the mark can't carry. So for instance, when you look at the mark now, it doesn't shrink down very well. It basically is, there's too much going on. So when you try to get it to be that shape of the app that's on your iPhone, it really just blends together. So I'm suggesting we come up with a simplified mark and also a seal that can do the heavy lifting of showing all the things that we're proud about in Florence. And that's kind of where we left off in the last discussion, was why are we updating this? Why does this refresh need to be done? And I just want to remind you that it was motivated by making sure that there's a digital, that it fits in all of digital world. And that means to be shrunk down to an inch by an inch, to be used as a stamp, could be used as an embosser. So that's kind of where we stand. And we don't have anything to show you today because we're basically coming to you saying, we think that the project really is twofold, not just one, a mark and the brand being the seal. Questions about that?
Council, do you have questions? No, sir.
So Mayor, I think what we're looking for tonight is for you all to have a discussion about what exactly it is. If you can boil Florence down to something as simple or as straightforward, if you had to do that, what exactly would you boil it down to? And hopefully give some direction as part of that discussion to Mr. Moses and his team so that they can come back with some sort of a logo, a seal, a brand that can represent the organization moving forward. So what we'd really like to hear is a discussion amongst the council in terms of specifically how you view Florence and how we can narrow us down and as best we can into who we are and what we represent.
Okay, I'm going to kick it off if you don't mind, just because when I think about Florence, I think about, we're the original county seat. We're rich in our history, and even congruent and tying forward with our strategic plan, we also tie in those elements of being a great place to live, work, and play in our community. We have a lot of opportunities for great outdoors and being outside. And isn't that what Arizona is known for? One element that we also have in our community is the Post and Butte. And that again ties back with our history. Councilmember Rodriguez, you also were just about to chime in, so I didn't want to.
I was just gonna say, I found a lot of value, Ben, in our conversation and walking through exactly looking at everyone else's logos, and some of the questions you asked were very intriguing and thought provoking. So I guess I haven't obviously heard what these other council members or everyone else has had to say about that, but I feel like maybe that would be a good launching point, would be for almost us to go back through sort of the discussions that we've had with you individually.
That's a great tie, because during those conversations, Ben Bitter, gave us a bunch of town logos and said, what ones stand out to you? What ones do you like the most? And something that I'll share with our council is I liked the fact that they were easily identifiable. So AJ, for example, I know immediately that was Apache Junction. The city of Tempe, how they were rooted with their tree and their name at the bottom. There was just a lot of ties where you looked at it and you knew exactly what it was, and it wasn't busy. It was simple and got you to where you needed to go if you're looking on your iPhone app. Any other council members while they're pulling that up?
Well, I had a suggestion that I like the logo that they presented of the courthouse, just the first one. But I would take a lot of that stuff out in the middle of it and just put an F in it or something, or maybe leave it open and put the town of Florence under it or something. But I like that simple. It shows the courthouse. As you say, that's our trademark.
The one thing that when we were looking at that, when Ben was showing it to me, when it was scaled down, I thought it was a train, and it was puffs of air,
courthouse?
smoke coming out of it when it was scaled down. So it's interesting when it goes down, how it can make it look totally different.
Yeah, so we can show, we can run through this all. There's a lot here, but if we just leave this slide up here, does that encourage discussion? Councilmember Rodriguez, is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, I like this slide and I like the next one as well. I think that both of them help us, especially for the public. I want them to understand why we're doing this as well. I think that was a lot of the feedback that I heard was, why are they doing this? Did they think about the cost that's going to be incurred by this? And I wanted people to have a better understanding with what we were looking at and sort of the thought process behind it. But also it provided a lot of examples that we could work from or say what we like or what we don't like. I know one of the points that we talked about was the color scheme. And sort of starting with that, there a lot of the examples that you provided, I didn't either, I like them, but it was the color scheme that consistently I did not like. And I would be more open to other options for branding if the color scheme was a little bit more cohesive with what I felt, was something that we all tied back to Florence. So I just liked all of the options there and a lot of the discussion that you had in your slideshow.
I think one of the easiest ways to show everybody why we're doing this, Ben, is to show them the slide that has all the 50,000 logos that currently are being used within the town of Florence. I exaggerate a little bit, but just so people can see that our town logo has gone a little haywire and it's just people are redesigning it to fit their need, and your logo should never be redesigned to fit someone's need. And so for me, that was my biggest thing was what we have is such a mess of stuff. That's why we need a logo. And that's why we need it to be a logo that's going to stand so that people won't want to redesign it to fit their need.
Also, keep in mind that the more we can simplify it, the more we can make it easily read, whether it's with colors or typefaces. It's critical to come up with the mark, but also have brand standards. And we can be the policeman on how it can be used and how it can't be used, what colors you can, which colors you can't. And what that does is that eliminates the small shop owner from coming up with their own little mark. And if someone doesn't have, if not just small businesses, but any business, if they don't have a consistency, they'll make up their own. And that's how you got to 50,000 different
Mhm.
ideas.
Yeah. And the one thing that I think I had told Ben that for me, kind of wanted to stay away from was the sun, the rays, the mountain, a cactus, because everybody in Arizona is known for that. So it really needed to be something that was unique to Florence, versus something that, you know, if you look at the other logos, how many of them have like the sun with the rays coming out and they're just different colors or different versions of the same color? A cactus, anybody in Florence or in Arizona can throw a cactus on their logo because we all have cactuses in our yards.
Well, and everybody loves the sunsets. And so we're always inspired by those colors in the sunset, but that'll never reduce down to a 1-inch square on your iPhone. So there's really two things we're fighting with. One is trying to get our arms around all these different logos and try to make them have some kind of consistency, but also come up with something that's original and unique to your city. As you mentioned, cactuses, sunshine, you know, anything that looks like stars, stripes, like the Arizona flag, that's what's inspired most of these types of changes. If we came up with a simple design, we could build some brand standards that would put some parameters on how everybody uses it. And I think you'd find it much more easy to look at all the pieces together and say, oh, this is exactly how I feel about Florence. And we're trying to get an emotion out of the mark. It won't stand by itself very often. It'll always be on a vehicle or on stationery or something. But the more brand standards we can give it, the more policing will be easier.
Mhm.
And I reviewed all of your discussion that Ben had. He gave me the document after he was done with all 7 of you. And the consistency that I heard, and you tell me if I'm wrong, the consistency I heard was we're a welcoming place. We're deep in history, but we're moving forward in the 21st century. And that, to me, those two things, we can definitely separate you from, you know, the young town or the different cities that have adopted a cactus, a sunset, some kind of version of the Arizona state flag. I think being welcoming, rooted in history, but also looking forward. Some cities in Arizona can claim that too, but if we do it properly, when you see it, you'll feel like you're welcoming somebody to the area. When we did Pinal County's branding with Tim Knavel, our main objective was to be able to use it, whether it's a 1/2-inch square or whether it's on a helicopter. So we wanted to make the Pinal logo, and we used a version of sunshine as the mark, but it's really turned into much more than that. It really is talked. It has a Native American history to it. It has a little bit of the history of Arizona, and the Pinal County logo is really starting to take root. And that was over 2 years ago.
I guess I just wanted to add, I did also like the one that had sorry, I'm blinking. The building downtown. Never mind, disregard. I'm gonna think of it in a minute. I did like
I didn't
the
bring
first
those
logo that
because-
you had, but I didn't like the color scheme. So what I was hoping for is this. Yeah, it's a courthouse. I couldn't think of the
Yes.
word courthouse. I apologize.
It's not a train, it's a courthouse.
Yes, yeah, not the train, but I did like that one. But I would just hope to see maybe different color schemes. So I was hoping for today to have more color schemes being presented so that way we could build with some other options, but also take those different color schemes and sort of see how they would work. So were you just looking for suggestions as to what colors we were looking for? Or are you just wanting a general discussion about what we would hope to have in the logo in general?
Yeah, what do you want it to accomplish? What's the feeling you want to get when you see the logo? And so far the comments have been pretty consistent. And like Ben said, we can take any amount of feedback and try to simplify it and narrow it down. But it's good to hear from you, you know, face to face, and find out about either the color scheme or maybe typeface or some iconic images of Arizona that are used over and over. It's good to hear you guys discuss that, because that'll help my design when I go back and work on it.
Well, I think one thing that Ben brought to my attention, I didn't know this at the time, but the red and the blue in the Arizona flag or the red and the blue in the United States flag, there's a definite tie-in. So there's a historical significance in the red and blue and the white, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a way we could tie that in, I think that would indicate the history of our town, the board of our state and our nation.
But I found all the comments with Ben's one-on-one to be very helpful.
Another thing with color is I'd like something that's a little bit more weather resistant. I felt with the muted colors that they weren't offering a whole lot of variance as far as its sun durability. I felt like when the sun hit it after a couple of years, the color would be gone. So that was something that was important to me, and whatever color choices we select is that they have a little bit more endurance.
Well, I would suggest let's look at the next round just in black and white and see if that motivates a feeling, and then adding the color should only enhance it.
Love it.
Good.
Sounds great.
Anything else?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you again soon and the designs.
June 3rd,
Yes,
June 7th. Okay, that's when I'll be back.
first Monday in June that we have a meeting.
June 7th. Thank you.
Item 13 is new business. 13A is resolution number 1774-21. This is discussion approval, disapproval of a resolution of the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, affirming the approval of the final plat for Anthem at Merrill Ranch, Unit 30A, and authorizing execution by the town manager of supporting documents. Ms. Maricela Benitez.
Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, we brought forward 3 different units for Anthem at Merrill Ranch. I will go ahead and present all 3 of them, but each will be voted on separately. These final plats were required by the Development Code to be brought to council for approval. So the first one is Unit 30A. I'll go through some quick facts for them. The gross acreage for 30A and 30B, but some quick background. 30A and 30B was supposed to be Unit 30, one combined, but because there were so many units, they were split into 2. So 30A has a gross acreage of 26.6341 acres. Open space, 8.0199 acres. Right of way, 4.2054 acres, with a total lots of 90. And the density will be 3.3791 dwelling units per acre. And this 30A is just east of 30B and of the Anthem Hospital, so south of Franklin Road. Unit 30B has a gross acreage of 33.6041 acres. Open space, it's 5.5096 acres. That is actually a correction from the staff report, which puts it at 8, but it is actually 5.5096 acres. The right-of-way, 5.2647 acres, with total lots of 127 units. The density is 3.7793 dwelling units per acre. This is also just east of the hospital, but is west of 30A. And finally, Unit 58 is located further to the east. It is just to the west of Felix Road. And its gross acreage is 39.911966 acres. Open space is 12.8862 acres. Right away, 6.0578 acres, with a total lottage of 123 units or lots. And the density is 3.0814 dwelling units per acre. Now, overall, the totals that are there now, and including these units, we have a total of 1,613.35 approximately total acreage that is going to have final plats, and then a total lodge of 5,250 total single family lots. And that brings us to 3.25 dwelling units per acre, which is still below the 3.5 dwelling units per acre, which was the density set in the PUD for Anthem at Merrill Ranch. That concludes that presentation. Touch that anymore. Are there any questions?
Any members of council have any questions?
I have the same question I've had before is why don't we have an exit up next to the hospital? You know, I have people who tell me they can throw a rock and hit the hospital, but it takes them 10 to 15 minutes to drive there because they have to go all the way back out and around.
I will go ahead and have Keith Eaton step forward and answer this question.
Good evening once again, Madam Mayor and Councilman Anderson. So this is something that we look on and keep in mind, these plats, these three plats are all part of the master platted community. Each time we do look at that, at this time, that wasn't warranted to add anything different. Once again, these plats, all in as the previous plats, meet all the town codes and all the town requirements.
What about the fire trucks? I understand that they're going to have access for fire trucks to go in and out.
There is emergency access. We build in the last plats that you'll see the emergency access off of Hunt Highway.
Yes.
That we did be similar.
So my question, why is it emergency? Why isn't it just a public access?
I'll have to defer that.
I believe we have Jared representing Pulte here tonight. If you'd like to come forward, Jared.
Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is today. I'm sorry about that. Part of the development here at Anthem at Merrill Ranch, there's two components, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. There's a Sun City portion of Anthem at Merrill Ranch, and there's a Parkside portion of Anthem at Merrill Ranch. The Sun City portion has always been envisioned as a self-contained, limited access for general public into the Sun City area. We've always designed it this way as part of the Sun City development itself. We do have access points, general access points out through Sun City Boulevard onto Merrill Ranch Parkway. Yes, it is a little bit of a drive to get around. I don't believe it's a 50-minute drive, but it is a drive to get around to the hospital, but that is the vision of the Sun City development itself.
Think of it as a gated community just without the gate. That's how it's designed to be like a gated community. There would only be without the gate.
Yeah.
In reality, it's no different than driving from Unit 9 to the hospital or driving from Unit 53 to the hospital. Same amount of distance to drive to the hospital from that, but it is a self-contained area for retirees as the Sun City development. And that's the vision of the Sun City development itself.
How
Madam
far
Mayor?
out are you guys before release of those lots?
Say that again.
How far out are you before those lots are released for sale?
We are currently in the permitting and construction phase right now. We are at-risk grading on Unit 30A and 30B at this point in time. So I think the plan is to bring those units on by the first of the following year, 2022.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to add a little color to Councilman Anderson's question. When the town engineering department, fire department, and other departments were doing the review on these parcels, the fire department ran a response time study. And that response time study determined that we needed additional access specifically for emergency response vehicles. And so Pulte was asked through Jared to design that turnout that exists here. And Mr. Anderson is completely correct. It's just for emergency vehicles. That was originally going to be a gated access with a Knox box. And the feeling was that it's more difficult if somebody has to get out of the truck and open a lock to get that open. So the decision was made from an engineering perspective to have that open to emergency vehicles.
Correct.
And to provide proper decel lane and turning movements to allow for fire trucks.
So there's not going to be a gate or anything on that. So
say that again.
I'm sorry.
You had a question?
Yeah. Is there going to be a way to physically limit people from using that road?
It is signed as a emergency access only at this point in time, in discussing that with both the fire marshal and with the city engineer. We felt that that was sufficient. With the signage, it can be enforced by law enforcement at that point in time, but we did not want it to be a public access coming out on the highway.
Well, I guess if I lived over there and I had an emergency in my family, I'd go through that road then. Wouldn't you?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Jay.
Any other questions from the council?
Any other questions from council?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being here tonight as well. All right, so that being added, item 13A is the resolution number 1774-21. At this time, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1774-21.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. As Ms. Benitez mentioned in her presentation, items B and C are also the same.
Correct.
So item B is titled Resolution Number 1775-21. This is a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, affirming the approval of the final plat for Anthem at Merrill Ranch, Unit 30B, and authorizing execution by the town manager of supporting documents. At this time, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1775-21 as read.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And item C, resolution number 1776-21. This is a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, affirming the approval of the final plat for Anthem at Merrill Ranch, Unit 58, and authorizing execution by the town manager of supporting documents. At this time, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1776-21.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Benitez, for your presentation tonight.
Thank you, council.
And item number D is a resolution number 1779-21. This is discussion, approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, amending the Town of Florence purchasing policy and declaring it to be a public record.
Good evening again, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Town Council. We've been working on this policy for several months now. It's been through legal review with our town attorney. Our deputy town manager has worked on this, going through, trying to clarify and refine things, making sure that things are legal and that we have all of our procurement policies updated and workable with our staff. We did have the purchasing committee, our internal committee, review this also. And Carl Dudding, who is in our department and came from Globe, was working in procurement there. And Allie Allen, who is our accountant, also has worked in procurement for several years now. Some of the highlights of this, the major one is I'm recommending that we up our limits for approval to council. This would take a lot of minor procurement off of having to come before the council. And I did do a little bit of a review with other communities, and they have, every community has something different. But for the most part, the limits are either 25,000 or 50,000. Casa Grande has a $25,000 limit, Eloy 20,000, Lake Havasu City 50,000, Coolidge is 25,000, Kingman is 50,000, Cottonwood is 50,000, Goodyear is 500,000. Marana is currently at 25,000, but considering going up between $50K and $100,000, and Globe is at $50,000 for approval. So we also are considering up, if you consider this, to up the limit of the finance director. We have a lot of procurement that takes place on a daily basis, and we need to be able to have a little bit of flexibility, and mainly because this policy hasn't been updated since 2010. So we're coming before you tonight, seeing if you have any questions about this policy, and if we can answer any questions.
Council, do you have any questions regarding this policy? Councilmember Hughes.
I'm I'm under the, I would rather it stay where it's at right now, especially because we're in a really, we're having a lot of financial, I'd really like it to stay at 2025.
It's entirely up to council what they'd like to do. It's a recommendation. We just wanted to see how you felt about it, but it's entirely up to you all to tell us what you would like us to do.
Mayor?
For me, I mean, I tend to agree with Councilwoman Hughes as far as the dollar amount. I'm skeptic on increasing these amounts just because we know that we're coming into a tight budget. And so we really need to watch every penny that we spend. My other thing is that when we start doing these procurement purchasing and not having to come before council, everybody knows that I'm fighting for our small businesses here in town. And I'm pretty vocal about it. And so I want to make sure that they are always our first option, and that we do everything we can to make sure that when we are making these purchases that you don't have to bring before council, that you're doing everything you can to make sure you're providing that opportunity to one of our small businesses. And I know that I had said to Director Chris Salas as well, that if we need to assist our businesses in getting on these lists that we look at, whatever it is, that we need to make that effort to help them. What is the percentage that a small business can be over? I'm probably not going to say it correctly, so I hope you follow me. So if we have the bids and a small business from town also is bidding in or offers the same service, there's a percentage that they can be over and be able to still qualify to provide us with that service. What is that amount?
In the procurement policy, we have a local preference of $10,000 cap. If they're within the $10,000, there's a 10% allowance for that. Let me look at it real quickly. Yes. It's a 10% allowance for that.
So in that, if they were within that cap,
they could go over 10%.
Mm-hmm. Does there have to be a provided justification as to why we would not use that small business if they were in that cap?
Anytime that, like what we do right now, anything that's $5,000 or over, they have to provide us how they did their bidding and why they chose who they chose. So we would go through that. They normally have a list of 3 or 4 people, and this is what they bid, and this is why we didn't include them. But more than anything, they normally go with the lowest bidder. So, but in a case of local preference, they would have to put down why they didn't choose them if they were within the limits. We have to remember that we're a small community and not all the services can be provided by our community. That's why a lot of times we have to go out and solicit other bids, because the goal of the local government is to get the best quality at the lowest price.
Our goal should also be to support our businesses that support our local government. And so if they keep getting cut out because they're not the lowest bid, they'll never be able to reach the level to where they can be the lowest bid, because when you're a small business, it's hard to offer discounts that large businesses can offer. So for me, I just would like to make sure that we stay vigilant in making sure that if we do this, and especially if tonight council decides to raise that dollar amount and give you more freedom in the purchasing, that our first priority is always to our small businesses, and that we do the best we can by them before we go to Casa Grande or somewhere else, to Phoenix or somewhere else, to buy a product that may be cheaper, but it may not necessarily, it's not servicing our community as a whole, because we're not spending our dollars here, and we advocate to our residents to spend their dollars here. So I'd like for us to make sure we spend as many dollars here as we can.
Sure, I understand that. And we have discussed this with our department managers. It is a priority. We keep it in the back of the mind every time that we go out for procurement. We want to make sure that we've kind of considered everyone and see if we could fit it into our procurement processes.
Are there any additional questions? All right, with that, Councilmember Mendoza.
I do. I agree with Vice Mayor Cortez as far as shopping local. I mean, it's all over our town. I do believe that to raise the amount would mean that things would get done a little faster. And have a feeling that, you know, I look at things and it just seems like everything is in this nail mode. So I'd like to see things go a little faster. So I believe that if we do give an extra amount, that things can get done quicker. Just the 50,000 that they're.
Can you turn your mic on?
I do want to assure you that we have a lot of levels of approval before things actually get requisitioned and a PO issued. So it's not that we're not looking at it. All of us look at it very closely and we discuss it among ourselves if we have any doubts about anything.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Seeing none, we need a motion.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 1779-21.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Item E, discussion and possible action on entering into a settlement agreement between the town of Florence, Florence Copper Inc., and Taseko Mines Limited. Mr. Clifford Matisse.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. This item is related to the next two items on your agenda. The settlement agreement, item F is the land use clarification agreement, and item G is the tolling agreement. They all relate to memorialize the settlement of the ongoing litigation that has been between the town of Florence and Florence Copper, initiated in 2013. I believe there was a question from the public about the amount in the settlement agreement, the approximate $1.7 million. That derives from the order from the trial judge that awarded Florence Copper its attorney's fees in June of 2019. There was interest that accrued while the town appealed that decision. The town or the Court of Appeals was also entered an order awarding Florence Copper their attorney's fees for the appeal. So that is the separate 200,000 or approximate 198,000 that's in the settlement.
Did you have anything further?
Nothing further unless there are questions.
I did have a question that came up from a citizen. I didn't get a chance to contact you earlier, so just for public record, can you communicate what the EPA aquifer exemption petition means and what our withdrawing from means as well?
Yes, ma'am. In 1997, the EPA made a decision to exempt certain land area that includes the land owned by Florence Copper. That exemption allowed for certain activities for mining that are in the aquifer area. What the town did was file essentially a letter, but it was called a petition to the EPA, asking the EPA to look at that decision again. We had a private developer that also requested the same review by the EPA. So the settlement agreement will require the town to essentially retract that letter to the EPA. However, the EPA has its own decision-making process. So other than retracting the town's letter requesting the review, there's no further obligation by the town related to that matter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments from council? All right, with that, can we have, as I've always said before, it takes a majority of any body to move forward. Can we have a roll call vote?
Be happy to after there's a motion and a second.
I was just asking, is it good first? All right, with that, we need a motion.
Make a motion to enter into a settlement agreement between the town of Florence, Florence Copper Inc. and Taseko Mines Limited.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Garcia?
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Aye.
Councilmember Hughes.
Aye.
Councilmember Mendoza. Councilmember Neal. Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cordes.
Aye.
Mayor Walter.
You have the majority, so I'm abstaining.
Motion's carried.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action on entering into a land use clarification agreement between the town of Florence, Florence Copper Inc., and Taseko Mines Limited. As our town attorney has informed us previously, everything has been covered. Unless there's any additional information he would like to speak at this time.
No, Mayor, unless someone has a question.
Any questions or comments from council? Okay, with that, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we enter into a land use clarification agreement between the town of Florence, Florence Copper Inc. and Taseko Mines Limited.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote, Ms. Garcia?
Yes. Vice Mayor Cordes.
Aye.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Aye.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal. Councilmember Hughes.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor Walter.
You have your majority. I'm abstaining at this time. Item G is discussion and possible action on entering into a tolling agreement between the town of Florence and Florence Copper Inc. Again, our town attorney, do you have anything additional at this time?
No, Mayor, unless there are questions.
Any questions or comments from council?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I would just like to say that for me, this has been a long thing that I've watched the town go through. And I'm proud to sit here and say that it's finally coming to a close and that we as a town can move forward. And I hope that we have a good partnership with Florence Copper. And if you look at our neighbors who have good partnerships with the mines that are in their towns as well. So for us as a town, I think it's a great thing that we're moving forward and finally putting an end to all of this.
At this time, if there's no other questions or comments, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we enter into a tolling agreement between the town of Florence and Florence Copper Inc.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Cordes.
Aye.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal. Councilmember Hughes.
Aye.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor Walter.
You have your majority. I am abstaining.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Item number 14 is our legislative report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Again, we still wait on a budget proposal from the House and the Senate. I had a meeting with Senator Shope this week, and he said it could be 1 to 2 months out still. So with that, they're going at a very snail's pace at the legislature. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll just keep it at the status quo.
Seeing no questions, I know they're working overtime. And our manager's report. I didn't have any. Any other members of council have any? Thank you very much. Any question from council to our department reports? All right. This is our second call to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak at this time? Anybody in the virtual world?
If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand at this time. I do not see any hands raised now.
All right, thank you. And call to the council for current events only. Councilmember Mendoza.
Well, it's good to know that the library is now open. I'm sure that Snake's family is going to be happy to go to the library. I work at the schools on a normal basis, and this week we're celebrating Teacher Week. So while you're out and about, if you see it, to buy a gift card for a teacher out there who's taking a lot of money out of their own pockets to teach our students. I think I'm going to, so I challenge everyone here to do the same. That's all I have.
Councilmember Neal.
I had the meeting for the board I'm on this week, and a little lady stopped me after the meeting, and she laid into me about the information boards and how that it's against town code. And I was just wondering if we can look into that, because she was very, very, very serious about these town codes that we're going to violate. And I told her nothing's set in stone, but she still decided to let me have it. So, and I never like to echo people, but my wife's a teacher, and I know how much money comes out of my pocket for her classroom. So definitely, I appreciate that. Also would like to thank a couple of people. Chief, that has stepped in this community and has been a figure that has been very visual. I see him all the time out and about. Officers have been out and about talking to people, and I just think he's doing one heck of a job for Florence. So I just wanted to thank him. Also give a shout to Lisa on her clerk's thing, and thank you again. And that's all I got.
Councilmember Hughes.
Well, I just want to say that I'm glad that we're moving forward also, that we are starting a new day with our town and our businesses. And I think that teachers are very important. And so I take the challenge. So thank you.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
I also don't want to echo everybody else, so I will say everything's been about said. Have a great week.
Councilmember Anderson.
I've been playing around with the new public service request form, and I want to compliment our IT team. It looks like it's going to be a good package. I just want to ask them, how do I get a report out of it? I haven't figured that out yet. I'm looking forward to a launch date. Lisa, can we get a launch date on that? Yes.
We will make sure we put out a press release on that soon. I believe it's already on the website and launched, but we'll make sure that the citizens are aware.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
And Vice Mayor Cortez.
So I attended Pinal Partnership, which is still via Zoom meeting. I can't wait till we actually get to go and have our in-person meetings. each town was presenting their accomplishments and things like that that are happening in their towns. I can't wait till the day that we're talking about something other than what our county is doing in the town of Florence. And we can say that the town of Florence, you know, got this big deal coming, and it had nothing to do with the county bringing it to us, that it was from our own efforts, from our new ED, or from us talking to people. So I can't wait for our town manager to be able to talk about great things that are happening, because there's something that we initiated and not that I don't like what the county's doing. It's wonderful that they're building new buildings here and improving the roads and stuff, but I can't wait for that. As far as that challenge, is that in addition to what I'm already doing? Is this like a separate challenge? Just wondering. I'm making burritos and providing a basket. So do you still want me to? I will, if you're going to challenge me to it, because, you know, I like a challenge. That's the peanut butter and jelly drive. Other than that, I think we're doing great work, and I love seeing everybody work hard. Lisa Garcia is one of the hardest workers I think we have in the town, and she has a great staff, as well as all of our other departments are working hard and doing really well at trying to do their best for the town. So I appreciate that, and it has not went unrecognized. So other than that, that's all I have. And I'm happy to not have to say like I was for so long. Please check in on your neighbors. Please stay safe. Please mask up. Please wash your hands. Stay 6 feet apart. I'm loving that that's not the top of our list of things to tell people, but please still do practice those things, because there is still an epidemic out there. So thank you.
Always helps to turn on the microphone, doesn't it? All right, well, I just want to thank everybody for coming on out tonight. Again, appreciate the detail in the department head reports, and always appreciate when people have questions, because it gives us an opportunity to answer them right on the spot, or also have our staff make personal connections and outreach to you as well. So with that being said, happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and please be safe out there. I know that this coming weekend is prom for our local high school. So that's, just be a little extra cautious. I'm really proud of our town for stepping in and helping out as they host their prom right on Main Street under the stars. So it should be a beautiful evening that will bring dancing back onto Main Street and, just bring everybody together in a socially distanced, acceptable way. So that being said, we need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign, and that motion carries.